Tonight on NewsWatch, strategic connections, why Israel is working outside the box in its effort to prevent a nuclear Iran. Plus, a big box store Bible blunder. It creates a social media buzz, but the real story could be what it says about the heart of America. And wounded warriors taking care of our veterans and their families by meeting real needs on the home front. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. A major move in the U.S. Senate today that will essentially put an end to certain filibusters. Good evening, I'm Ephraim Graham. Senate Democrats moved to end filibuster for approving presidential nominees. Lawmakers voted mostly along party lines to change the rules so that presidential appointees can be approved by a simple majority vote rather than a two-thirds majority. Senate leaders went head-to-head in their debate before the 52-48 vote.
For the first time in the history of our republic, Republicans have routinely used the filibuster to prevent President Obama from appointing an executive team or confirming judges.
This rules change charade has gone from being a biennial threat to an annual threat, now to a quarterly threat. How many times have we been threatened, my colleagues? Do what I say, or we'll break the rules to change the rules. Confirm everybody. 100%.
Right after the vote, Democrats used the new rules to begin to push through one of three D.C. appeals court nominees that Republicans had previously blocked. President Obama spoke shortly after the vote, saying he obviously supports the move.
Over the past 5 years, we've seen an unprecedented pattern of obstruction in Congress that's prevented too much of the American people's business from getting done. All too often, we've seen a single senator or a handful of senators choose to abuse arcane procedural tactics to unilaterally block bipartisan compromises.
David French is senior counsel at the American Center for Law and Justice. He joins us now for more on this major political move. David, the Senate has just overturned more than 200 years of history and voted to eliminate the filibuster on some presidential appointments. What's your reaction?
It's not all that surprising. This has been something that's been talked about for many years, and it's not that surprising, honestly, that the Democrats would do it. The Republicans went to the brink of doing this in 2005, and they blinked and they didn't. And now the Democrats, facing much the same situation, have gone over the precipice.
Wow. Do you think Senate Democrats may regret this in the coming months and years?
I have a high degree of confidence that they'll regret this. I mean, there will be another Republican president at some point, and that Republican president will have the same kind of discretion now that President Obama has to nominate judges. So they will regret this. There's no question about that.
Why is this kind of political tactic so dangerous?
Well, what it does is it upsets the checks and balances. It used to be that a judicial nominee had to be really nominated at least through an overwhelming consensus. Even though you wouldn't necessarily get majority support from both parties, there would be at least some support from both parties. Now it just makes judicial nominations that much more partisan.
Indeed. Now, before you go, we want to get your input on another story. Your organization is reporting new evidence the IRS illegally targeted Tea Party groups, and it wasn't just a low-level problem. The American Center for Law and Justice says the release of new emails proves former top IRS official Lois Lerner was not truthful. She blamed low-level employees in Cincinnati for the systematic stifling of conservative groups before the 2012 election. But Cincinnati.com reports the ex-director of the local office blasted Lerner in emails. Can you tell us more about this?
Well, it's as soon as Lois Lerner made those statements, it turns out that the folks in Cincinnati weren't so happy about being singled out. And they sent their own messages back up the chain, essentially saying, wait a minute, you can't blame this on us. You neglected to mention the extent of Washington's involvement. And that's not at all surprising to us. We knew Washington was involved from the beginning because we had letters from Lois Lerner. We had letters from across the country, in fact, not just from Cincinnati. So we knew that Washington was involved from the beginning, and it's hardly surprising that the folks in Cincinnati would not appreciate being thrown under the bus.
Now, we're talking about it, but why do you think this scandal has almost dropped from the headlines completely?
Well, it's pick your scandal. I mean, right now you've got 5 million plus Americans losing health insurance. You've got a website that's supposed to enroll 7 million people by the end of the year that it can't enroll anybody. You've got, the Obamacare scandal hits 20% of the American economy and 100% of our health. So it's understandable that that would be dominating the news. But I guarantee you, as our case against the IRS continues to go forward, the IRS case will come back, because that was a political scandal of the first order, using the government against its own citizens.
So do you think Washington doesn't want to deal with this and simply wants to look for a scapegoat here?
Well, there was no question from the beginning Washington was looking for a scapegoat. There's also no question from the beginning we knew that wouldn't work, because we had in black and white the documents illustrating Washington's involvement, high-level involvement by the IRS. So they scapegoated, hoping that the news cycle would pass them by, but no such luck. The news just keeps coming back.
Before we go, what's the status of your lawsuit?
We've got a suit filed that is on behalf of 41 Tea Party groups in 22 states. It's pending in federal court, and we expect that the government will officially answer that suit next month.
All right. We will keep you posted. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to turn now to Israel, where their high-stakes diplomacy is being used to keep world powers from making a deal with Iran over its nuclear program. As the U.S. and 5 other nations met with Iran in Geneva Wednesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Chris Mitchell reports now from Russia.
While the world powers met with Iranian negotiators in Geneva, both Netanyahu and Putin took different views on those talks. Putin was optimistic.
We hope in the near future a deal will be announced acceptable to all the sides.
Netanyahu warned once again about the danger of a nuclear Iran.
The biggest threat against us and against global security is Iran's effort to arm itself with nuclear weapons.
Netanyahu's attempt to change Putin's mind is a long shot.
Well, I think the Prime Minister tried to convince Putin that agreement with Iran at the moment will be a bad idea. But I think he knew that it will be a very hard task. And from what we saw in the press conference, I think that both sides basically agreed not to agree.
Netanyahu's visit here to Moscow is just one part of an all-out diplomatic campaign by Israel to stop the international community from striking a deal with Iran that would allow it to get a nuclear device. They don't want Geneva 2013 to become Munich 1938. That's when the Western powers appeased Adolf Hitler and he took over Czechoslovakia. That agreement sowed the seeds for World War II.
The deal on the table is a deal that gives the Iranians exactly what they want. It's a dream deal. They don't have to make any significant concessions. And at the same time, they get easing of the sanctions. For them, it's a dream deal, a dream deal. And we're concerned that for the international community, it'll be a nightmare.
Mark Regev, spokesman for the Prime Minister, says Iran is not just an Israeli problem.
It's obvious that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat to Israel. That's clear. But it's also a threat to the world. I'd remind you, the Iranians are working on intercontinental ballistic missiles, missiles that can carry nuclear payloads. Now, they don't need those missiles for Israel because they've already got missiles that can target Israel. Those missiles are being built for targets way beyond the Middle East, in Europe and in North America.
But will Israel attack Iran's nuclear facilities? In a statement designed to remind negotiators in Geneva a military option is very much alive, Israel's former national security advisor, Yaakov Amidror, told the Financial Times, "We have enough to stop the Iranians for a very long time. We are not bluffing. We are very serious, preparing ourselves for the possibility that Israel will have to defend itself by itself." Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Moscow.
North Korea has detained another American, this time an 85-year-old veteran of the Korean War. Merrill Newman made a sightseeing stop in North Korea in late October. His son says North Korean officials took him off his plane as he was about to depart Pyongyang. It is not clear why. Newman's son says he is in contact with the State Department. Merrill Newman is the 6th American taken into custody by North Korea since 2009. One of them is missionary Kenneth Bae, who is still being held. The House Foreign Affairs Committee passed a resolution calling on Iran to release Pastor Saeed Abedini. The measure also condemns Iran for its persecution of religious minorities. Pastor Abedini is an American citizen. He's been imprisoned for more than a year. The resolution calls for sanctions against the Islamic Republic for detaining him. The Obama administration has been urging Congress to hold off on new sanctions against Iran, fearing they may hinder the talks on curbing Iran's nuclear program. A social media uproar erupted after a pastor discovered mislabeled Bibles at a California Costco store. The national warehouse chain says it was an innocent mistake, but some say the incident is a statement about the state of America today. Caitlin Burke reports.
Caleb Kaltenbach relies on the Bible to do his job. He's a pastor at Discovery Church in Simi Valley, California.
We're just trying to reach people where they are and share the gospel with them.
Kaltenbach was recently shopping at Costco for a gift when he decided to stop in and look at the Bibles. He says what he saw shocked him.
It was labeled fiction, and it stuck out to me because I've never seen a Bible labeled fiction.
The Discovery Church pastor snapped this picture and posted it on Twitter for his followers to view. It didn't take long for it to get national attention.
The picture went viral, and here we are today.
Tweets started to come in from people both blasting and supporting Costco. One woman wrote, "Labeling the Bible as fiction is insulting. If they had labeled the Quran fiction, libs would be furious." Another person said, "Is it not fiction? I think Costco has this correct. Please provide factual data to support otherwise." Costco has since apologized, calling it an error they're working quickly to correct.
Our CEO, he's a devout Catholic. He obviously loves the Lord, and this isn't something that he was purposely trying to do. It was a mistake.
I totally believe him. I believe it was a mistake. I don't believe there's some kind of evil genius behind the scenes, but I do believe that it's telling of where our nation is spiritually.
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
And up next, the story of a mother and daughter struggling to survive the devastation in the remote parts of the Philippines and how CBN is helping.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
What would you do in a medical emergency?
This is Life Alert. Are you okay?
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
I'm calling for help right now.
Fire emergency.
Sharon, we received a smoke signal coming from your kitchen. Get out now. We're calling the fire department.
Home intrusion. Emergencies away from home.
I think someone may be following me.
I'm right here and we'll stay on the line with you and we can contact the police if necessary.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-524-5236. That's 1-800-524-5236. Call now at 1-800-524-5236 to get a free brochure. 1-800-524-5236. 1-800-524-5236.
Those in the Midwest hit hard by tornadoes earlier this week are trying to find anything left behind after the twisters flattened almost everything. CBN's Operation Blessing is there helping with more than 100 volunteers.
I'm standing in Trails Edge community, which is in Washington, Illinois. And as you can see behind me and all around me, this tornado ravaged this whole neighborhood and community.
It's just debris all over the place. I mean, you couldn't even tell where your house was anymore.
She is just one of the many that Operation Blessing has helped. We've had over 100 volunteers on the ground in this community and in Washington, Illinois.
These people trying to put their lives back together, and right before the holidays have lost everything, but at least they have their lives, and with everybody helping out a little bit, we can help them to get back to where they need to be and start rebuilding.
I want to thank all the Operation Blessing partners and the viewers that have been helping support Operation Blessing's response here in Washington, Illinois. We appreciate your partnership with Operation Blessing to help these people that are going through a tough time.
While aid continues to reach more typhoon-stricken areas in the Philippines, people are still going hungry. The situation in the rural area is particularly severe as damaged roads, toppled power lines, and debris make it challenging to deliver critical supplies. George Thomas traveled to one such area in the Philippines.
For 2 weeks now, Teresa and her daughter have made this walk countless times past painful reminders of Typhoon Haiyan's wrath.
The winds were so strong, I quickly took my daughter and we got under this bed, but suddenly the roof went flying.
Her home was no match against the strongest storm to ever hit land anywhere in the world.
We have lost everything, and I don't know what we will do now.
This week, a glimmer of hope arrived in her village for the first time, as a partially shredded tent went up and hundreds of families, including Teresa, joined a line to receive help from CBN Disaster Relief.
As you can see, the view, the house are totally devastated and they don't have enough food to eat.
Volunteers handed out food, water, and other supplies.
This is a lot. We have enough to last us for some time.
While media attention has focused on the destruction in the provincial capital of Tacloban, the situation here in remote places like Alguera is particularly dire, as supplies and relief workers have been slowest to arrive.
You are the first ones here. I know how difficult it is to get to our remote village, so thank you for coming.
A sentiment expressed by many who thought no one else cared about their plight up here in the mountains.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Yeah, why are you happy? Why?
Because you came to bring us these food donations.
Are you guys happy to get the food?
Yes, we're very happy.
Why are you happy?
Because we're not starving anymore.
Here in the remote parts of the devastated areas, the majority of the folks are coconut farmers. It is their livelihood. And as you can see, their livelihood has been destroyed.
Teresa lives in a region that's a major coconut growing province. In one swell swoop, her husband's livelihood and that of tens of thousands of others is gone.
Wow. This is what I worry about. How are we going to survive in the future?
Helping the millions like Teresa who have lost their homes and livelihoods will be a monumental task. But in these early days and weeks after the storm, getting critical aid will help prepare them for the long road ahead. George Thomas, CBN News, Alguera, Philippines.
Up next, making things more comfortable at home for deserving veterans.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes and Google Play now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Life in the military is tough, and for many of America's wounded warriors, life after service can also be challenging for them and their families. But as David Brody reports, many Americans are trying to make things better whenever they can.
You want to show them your green room? Come on. Own room. You have your own pretty window. You can look outside every morning.
There's no place like home. And for Sergeant J.D. Williams and his family, having a place to call their own has been a long time coming.
I think half of my daughter's life, she grew up in a hotel room. It's been pretty stressful, you know, for the past couple of years that I've been injured.
On October 9th, 2010, Williams stepped on an IED, and the explosion took both legs and an arm.
I remember rolling over on my back and looking at my hands, and then it was all covered in blood, and looked over at my right arm and noticed it was gone and started taking contact from the enemy.
They weren't really sure exactly, you know, what his injuries were, what was going to happen, if he was going to make it.
He did make it, but the road back has been slow and long.
Someone gave me the advice when all of this first happened that, you know, things will be better tomorrow. Today might not be the greatest day, but tomorrow will be better, so just don't give up.
And it's been full of unexpected blessings. First and foremost, a new home that JD calls his House of Valor. One built with his specific needs in mind.
Double oven, nice low oven so JD can cook, putting stuff in the lower oven, right?
I do the cooking anyway.
Kelly Paul, wife of Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, gave CBN News a special tour. She serves on the board of Helping a Hero, the organization that gave JD this home.
They have an antler chandelier because JD's originally from Montana and he loves to hunt.
Bamboo floors. And this is the hardest product that they said that you could get for wheelchairs or the legs that JD has.
It's been quite an experience for you to be a blessing to someone, but yet you've been kind of blessed in the process too, I would think.
You just see the light in people. You see God working through people. People are so grateful sometimes to have the opportunity to express goodness.
Some 90 injured veterans across more than 20 states now live in homes that allow them to be self-sufficient.
So just to be able to watch him, you know, learn to relive his life again on his own without help, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that.
Everyone we talked to felt the same way, especially Benny Jones, who wasn't too keen on helping out in the beginning.
I didn't want to do this. Really? I'm telling you the truth. I didn't want to do it.
His wife saw an article in the paper about the effort. Well, she repeatedly asked him to read it, and each time he said no.
Honey, we're real busy. I'll read it when I get a chance. When I read the story, that was it. God wouldn't let me not do it. When you can tell when God's voice is talking to you. We called Mrs. Paul and we said, what can we do to help? She said, we need a builder. I said, you've got one.
But when asked to help, people often end up giving more.
This is one of the few projects that people actually call you up and say, thank you for asking me to give, for letting me have the opportunity to change this family's life.
One anonymous donor mailed $500 in $20 bills to builder Larkin Ritter.
That's what's been neat. No one wants credit. Nobody's passing business cards out. Yeah. They're all just, what can I do?
The 4-bedroom home is worth around $400,000, but helping a vet helped complete it for about $150,000 in cash. Senator Rand Paul joined forces with Kentucky Democrat John Yarmouth to raise money for the organization.
Republicans and Democrats don't always agree in Washington. That's a news flash. But one thing we do seem to come together on is trying to help our wounded veterans.
Whether you believe in the war or not in the war, but you see what this family's been through and what he's gave and his commitment and his sacrifice for this country. It's very little that's asked of us.
But JD won't call it a sacrifice.
I was a very, very fortunate leader to not lose anybody, both deployments that I've done, and still be here today, you know, and being able to, you know, say I did take a IED out, you know, out of everybody else, out of harm's way, just you know, and I lived through it. I remember looking up at the sky and asking God, like, give me one more chance, you know, and for him to come back and have all these good people that live right here, build us a home and stuff, it's definitely God, you know, looking out for us. And I feel like I died that day and went to heaven, because everything's just been so smooth for us and so amazing that I feel like a better man today than I was before I got injured.
Reporting from Auburn, Kentucky, I'm David Brody, CBN News.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
The Vatican unveiled newly restored catacombs fresco. Cardinal Ravasi presided over the opening ceremony. The catacombs include frescoes dating back to the year 230, including the earliest known image of Virgin Mary with child. Other frescoes are said by some to depict women priests in the early church. For the first time ever, the Google Cam went into the catacombs that stretches for miles, allowing people to virtually tour the underground tunnels. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a great evening.